Roads haven't changed much over the past few thousand years. The Romans had the basic idea, a lot of aggregate covered in smaller stones, topped with something smoother. It's the same concept we still use today. But the rock used in the base and the subbase of today's roads, as well as the concrete or asphalt used on the surface, has to be mined and produced and then transported to wherever it's needed. It's expensive and it has a significant impact on the environment. But in recent years, researchers have been experimenting to find more sustainable, smarter ways to build streets and roads and highways, not least by reducing the carbon emissions from asphalt production. In this episode, we'll take a closer look at what these new, more sustainable forms of asphalt can do for the environment and for the construction industry. Here at the Velsta facility in Upplands Väsby, just outside Stockholm, Skanska has invested in one of the most modern asphalt plants around. The facility can produce 320 tons of fresh asphalt per hour, a capacity increase of around 30% compared to the previous plant used at the site. And everything here is built around recycling. Christopher Elofsson is the project manager at Velsta Asphalt Plant. Now we're looking out over the quarry. What do we see in front of us?
We see our big crusher system that is run on 100% electricity. And then to our left we have our big new asphalt plant that started production 2 years ago. We're about 50 people working in the quarry and the asphalt plant together here.
And then I've been seeing a lot of trucks coming through, so there's a lot of people coming and getting rock and so on.
Yeah, a lot of, more than 5,000 trucks a day.
5,000 trucks a day? Wow. One thing I didn't know is that asphalt is 100% recyclable. That concept of being able to rip up old roads and reuse all of that asphalt is just amazing. I mean, that's the biggest revolution here, I guess.
Yeah, that's one of the most amazing thing about asphalt. It can be reused like aluminium over and over and over again. So it's a good process.
What are the environmental and climate advantages of that?
Reduce our CO2 footprint by a half compared to the old style asphalt.
The production of asphalt takes place in the asphalt plant at high temperatures. And in the past, almost all heating has been done using fossil fuels. In recent years, Skanska has converted more and more asphalt plants to be powered by fossil-free fuel, like this one in Velsta.
Yeah, an asphalt plant is where you mix the aggregates from the quarry and the bitumen, and also the most important thing today, the wrap or the reclaimed asphalt that we use as much as possible in the modern asphalt plants.
So that's the biggest difference here, is that this plant can use up to 100% recycled asphalt.
Yeah, the new technology makes it possible to heat up the wrap much more than an ordinary plant, almost 50 degrees more. So it's already ready hot temperature to be able to pave it on the roads.
Now, as well as recycling the asphalt, I believe there's also a difference in the fuel that you're using for the process.
Yes, compared to the old asphalt plant where we used regular fuels, now we're using bio fuels as well. And this plant uses a tallbecksolja.
I'm guessing that's pine tar?
Yeah, from a production here in Sweden. So it has a really low CO2 footprint as well.
How long have you been using these biofuels?
Since this beginning of this plant 2 years ago, we have been using it 100%.
And how widespread are they in the industry in general?
Maybe 50% usage in the industry, but more and more plants getting converted every day.
Asphalt has a lot of advantages. It's cheap, it's waterproof, it's elastic, and as we mentioned, it's completely recyclable. Even after it's been on a road for 50 years, you can reuse it to make new asphalt. The disadvantage is that it requires a lot of energy to produce, and that means lots of carbon dioxide. The fossil binder bitumen accounts for a large part of asphalt's climate emissions. The bitumen is a byproduct of oil industry, and it's used to bind the surfaces of these paved roads. But this approach is changing. Skanska's lowest impact asphalt product to date has the same properties as conventional asphalt, but the advantage is that it contains a pine oil-based binder and a very high percentage of recycled material. This fossil-free binder that can partially replace normal bitumen or old-style bitumen is called biobitumen.
The biobitumen is a bit softer, and it makes the old wrap that have aged when it's been on the roads for many years to become soft again, so be able to be reused over and over again.
I've heard someone said that it even smells different from a normal one.
Yeah, that's correct. When we're using the biobitumen, we have a supplier that supplies us with biobitumen, and it has the smell almost as a sauna. I'm half Finnish, so I should know.
The biomass that the biobinder is made from has absorbed carbon dioxide from the atmosphere via photosynthesis. Because asphalt is 100% recyclable, the carbon dioxide bound up in the biobinder will be stored there for a long time, and that helps compensate for the emissions that come around during manufacturing. What are the biggest challenges in introducing these sorts of new technologies when it comes to asphalt?
Actually, it's getting the old personnel from the old factories to work with the new equipment, and it's not built like an old asphalt plant, so they have to relearn everything. It's like a new concept for them as well. So that's the biggest hurdle to get over, to get the old asphalt manufacturer people to get to use the plant so it's full of potential and not go into the old style of producing.
I guess that's one of the biggest things in this whole climate transition is learning new knowledge and gaining new expertise and spreading that between different projects and different companies.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
A little bit about you then. I mean, how long have you been working at Skanska?
I've been working at Skanska almost 10 years, yes, and here in Wellsta for 6 years.
What do you enjoy most about your work?
The big complexity of it, both the personnel, the economics, the environment, and the new technology, and getting all that together in one big package. It's the most fun and most challenging as well. So, yeah.
This technology, there's not a lot of people doing it, are there?
No, according to the manufacturer of the plant, there may be 45 in the world, but we're first in Sweden. So it's a big step for Skanska to make this a big investment in the new technology, to be one of the first in the world.
Do you hear anything from the customers that they appreciate the fact that we're doing this?
We're getting more and more questions about CO2, and we need to meet the new requirements. We need to upgrade our technology. So everybody is gonna have to get here, but we're the first.
Fantastic. Christopher, thank you very much for your time today. It was a real pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
It's fascinating to see a plant like this producing more sustainable asphalt using recycling. But as Christopher said, the trend towards bio-based bitumen is also picking up speed. What will it take to shift to fossil-free asphalt? And what would that sort of shift mean for the environment? Abubekar Ahmed and Xijing Zhu are both senior researchers working for the Swedish National Road and Transport Research Institute. Welcome to Shaping Sustainable Places.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Really nice to have you on board, Abubekar and Xijing. Now, if we look, I mean, the reason why we're talking about this is because roads obviously are a vital part of society's infrastructure, but there's quite a bit of carbon emissions and so on that come from the materials and the way we're building. If we look globally, what's the current situation today when it comes to constructing roads? And we'll focus today mostly on building roads with asphalt rather than concrete.
Asphalt is still the dominant construction material that's used for road construction today. And the asphalt industry is now working hard to achieve the climate targets by using various innovative solutions, and also to take into account the circular economy concepts, and also to transition from fossil fuel or fossil material to more renewable material. So that's the situation regarding asphalt material in road construction today.
Yeah, I totally agree with Abubekar. So it's a green revolution in the asphalt industry now. It's about the use of new materials, different types. It's about the energy transition to green and clean energy. But I want to add is the digitalization as a tool to make the industry more efficient in production and so on.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting angle. Thank you. And the majority, I mean, bitumen today is generally seen as a byproduct from from the oil industry, I understand. But nowadays, a lot of the work that is going on into replacing that fossil fuel oil-based bitumen with bio-based asphalt, which is seen as quite a promising alternative. What are we talking about here when we're talking about bio-based asphalt?
Yeah, bio-based asphalt is basically to use other non-traditional material to replace the fossil-based bitumen or other parts of asphalt. We get a new material and move away from the fossil dependency. There are many different types of biomaterials. That's itself is a challenge. How we can use different types, probably not only one single type of a material. So, I mean, how we can regulate and to ensure the quality when we use different types of biomaterials. That's one of the challenges.
Just looking at when you're mentioning that there are several different types of bio-based asphalts, are you seeing different use cases for the different forms of bioasphalt? But some would work better for cycle paths versus motorways versus, I guess, runways.
We have our experiences, research in many countries that show that this bioasphalt show very similar property as the conventional asphalt. And what needs is like, how is their long-term performance?
They also have different forms. Some of them they're more like liquid form. Some of them they are more like a fluid form. So their roles in the asphalt or in bio-based asphalt they are different. So how can we integrate the different types of biomaterials into asphalt and how to ensure the quality and even the long-term performance Abbe Baker mentioned? We don't have the knowledge today. That also caused that we don't have the regulation, the updated regulation and the technical specifications to control the quality of those new types of asphalt.
It's interesting when you were bringing that up, Shijing, about the certifications and so on. We've heard that quite a lot in a lot of our discussions, particularly when it comes to the circular economy, that our society and the industry is largely based on using new materials and trying to make sure that we have the right quality that's going to perform in exactly the way that's predicted. This, I imagine, is a big part of your research, is supporting the policymakers in setting these certifications. Would that be correct?
Yeah, that's correct. That's what we do now to support the policymaker and decision makers to update the regulations and the specification to allow these new types of materials coming into the industry.
How is that work progressing? Are you seeing advances in these areas, and are we getting these new forms starting to be certified now?
Yes, at least we are seeing that more the transport authorities have started taking risks to build some test roads. We see that test roads are being built in different parts of at least Europe. We see. So I think that's improving. So, and also we have all the both in the EU level, for example, even in global level, we have different climate targets. So to achieve those goals, we need to move in this direction. So that's we see very good progress.
Yes, I agree. I want to add that we are doing the research right now, and what we see is the results we see so far is quite promising, and it seems to work really well, and we don't need to compromise with the quality of the asphalt pavement. And at the same time use new types of bio-based material with benefits to the environment and the climate. That's really great. We need to continue with that, with more information given to the decision makers and the policy makers for the future support.
You both mentioned there the sort of upsides and advantages with this. I mean, obviously, reduced climate impact is one of them, and we'll come back to that shortly. But are there any other practical advantages of using this? I mean, does it stay liquid longer so that it can get out to sites, or any other sort of advantages that you're seeing in these different forms of bio-based asphalt?
We see some improved performance at least from the laboratory sides of these products. But we need to learn more. We need to have more experience to take that conclusion. But at least we know they most likely work as good as the traditional binders, and they in some cases, because these are in some of cases they are as powder, some of the cases they are fluid, so it's softer. So they may have different advantage in different use cases at least.
Can we talk about what it would mean for the climate if we could have a larger shift towards these bio-based asphalts?
We're still doing the research now, but the basic concept here is like, many of those biomaterials now today being used as, for example, biofuels, which will be burned and release emissions to the atmosphere. But by using these biomaterials in the asphalt, we can even remove that part of the emissions. I think that's an even better option than using these materials as an energy source.
You both mentioned that there are various other technologies being used to reduce the climate impact of asphalt. Some of them is using biofuels in the process. But I also understand that there's a lot of work in the circularity aspect of reusing old asphalt, like Skanska is doing at the Velsta plant. Can we talk about briefly just about some of the other technologies that are being used here, apart from the binding material?
Yes, we can. So one of the main aspects that you mentioned about reusing or recycling raw materials, and many countries are already in good phase using recycled materials. And other technologies are also using what's called, for example, warm asphalt technologies. So usually, conventionally, when we do asphalt, we use the term hot mix asphalt or HMA, and we usually produce it at temperature over 150 degrees Celsius. But these warm asphalt technologies, by using different types of additives, either chemical or organic additives, we could reduce the temperature to well below 150 or 100 degrees Celsius. So that's one technology. So, and according to the European Asphalt Pavement Association data, for each 12 degrees Celsius reduction in temperature, so we could reduce about 50% of our total emission or fumes from the asphalt production. So that has a significant impact.
Yeah, I agree that about the recycling. I mean, now we see if we look a bit apart from the asphalt pavement industry, we see a change from fossil fuel cars to electric cars, and then we know the bitumen, the traditional material, is from the oil refinery industry, and then we don't know the supply of in the future. Do we have the access to the same amount of bitumen for the future roads and maintenance? So basically, we have to reuse and recycle all the existing asphalt that is already in the roads today, and we should see the existing roads as a resource. I would like to describe the bitumen in today's asphalt roads will be the black gold of tomorrow. So we have to take care of that part and make good use of them.
Oh, very interesting point. So what do we really need to accelerate this process? What are the biggest steps that are going to really move this along the road?
I think we should do more collaboration between the research community and the industry, and even together with the authorities, so we have a common picture between us. And then this consensus that we need to reach first before we open the market by having the updated regulations and the specifications. I think the industry is very interested in this area, so we need to work together to find the ways and not only nationally but even internationally.
Great. Very good points. We keep hearing so often about how it's about working together and making sure that we achieve this. Thank you both very much. Really appreciate having your time in the studio here today, and looking forward to seeing you out there on the road to net zero.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
In this episode, we've been looking at how we can reduce the climate impact of our roads, largely by reducing the emissions from asphalt production. This includes recycling asphalt and moving from fossil-based bitumen to bio-based binders. There is also a shift away from fossil fuels for heating the asphalt in the asphalt plants and using more renewable energy instead of fossil fuels. But there's also areas like certification and trying to make sure that the new forms of asphalt that we're getting are approved so that we can all be confident that these new asphalts will work in defined use cases. I hope you've enjoyed the podcast. If you've got any questions or thoughts and suggestions about future episodes, please mail us at podcast@skanska.com. I'm John Ambrose, and thanks for listening to Shaping Sustainable Places.